Nam1 has been charged with 39 different counts. And they include all kinds of things, including defrauding by false pretenses, taking deposits, and so forth. So what next? I mean, this is a court case that has dragged for such a long time. After 36 odd adjournments, suddenly the case is now in the higher courts. Well, Martin Kpebu joins us. He hates it. He hates it when you remind him, but he's a prominent Ghanaian lawyer. Of course, he's been following this matter since its inception. Martin, it's a pleasure to have you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kojo. So I reintroduce myself. Martin Kpebu, the rookie lawyer. Rookie.
We reject that characterization. But it's good to have you. This matter has dragged for such a long time. But now 39 counts from the Attorney General in the higher courts. Progress?
Sorry, the last word.
Is it progress?
Not exactly. I don't know. Not exactly because, the larger part of it is that whereas AG has been doing daily trials or seeking daily trials in Jatikwesi, Nam1 hasn't received that kind of attention. So it's early days yet to say this one is progress, apart from the fact that in the previous charge sheet, because there was money laundering, and then in the interim, we've changed the law so that now, if you talk about money laundering, you charge somebody for money laundering, it's only the High Court that can prosecute.
Yeah.
Apart from that, for the rest, I don't really see. And so, even assuming for the old charge sheet, Nam1 had been let off only on money laundering, and assuming he had been convicted on the rest, we would have been more than happy. So, I'm hesitant to say this is progress. Rather, it's been a little too late. Too little, too late. Because if you look at the energy, the vim, the enthusiastic manner in which the Attorney General embraced Jachikwesin's case, was moving heaven and earth to get it prosecuted speedily. And yet Nam1 was left to rot somewhere, took over 40 adjournments. This doesn't actually impress me. It doesn't impress me. So maybe we'll wait for some time to see whether the AG will transfer some of the energy from the Jachikwesin case to this one, and then we can reassess or reevaluate sometime later.
There are many others like you who are not quite sure whether to read commitment and determination into government's actions, or a desire to let it all slip by. I mean, in one breath, they actually traveled all the way to Dubai, negotiated or debated or whatever it took to get the government of the UAE to release him to us, because we believe he had a case to answer in Ghana. We brought him to Ghana, and then 36 adjournments.
Excellent.
And then now we're back. It's a bit difficult sometimes for people to determine whether government is committed to this or whether for some reason they just want this to slip by. What is your take?
Yeah, I'm going definitely with the theory that they want this to slip by. Let me repeat. I'm going definitely with the theory that they want this to slip by. Because it's not a secret that Nam1's father had threatened, right? I think it's in the media, he himself. They said they had donated to the party during 2016 campaign and etc. So there's a huge political angle to it. It's not a secret. So somebody having been a financier to a party in government, when you get a criminal case, what do you expect? So that's the angle from which I'm analyzing it. They have said it. It's out there. You just Google those stories. They said, hey, you touch me and you see the names I'll mention. And it's not a secret that he made huge donations to the current government when they were coming. In 2016, they had no money, so they took money everywhere, left, right, center. So that is what we are reaching. So all great. Yeah, so let's be very critical of this prosecution. We want results. We've been too tardy. The Attorney General hasn't shown enough commitment to this case compared to Jatikwesi. I mean, that's it. So for me, Jatikwesi is a yardstick. Anything that's short of the energy and the vigor with which he's interested in Jatikwesi, it means that this case he's not really committed. Yeah, this one, how many years? Can you imagine? The time we brought Nam1 back from Dubai, was that in 2020 or so? then 36 adjournments. Then we are still adjourning. The money laundering thing, assuming the circuit court, if you have been convicted, like I made the point before, of the other charges, and then money laundering left, well, that's nothing. Because a lot of the offenses, what happens, could you, even though you send 39 charges, most of the time, once he's been convicted, when it comes to sentencing, you hear that the sentences are to be served concurrently.
Right.
So count one, assuming count one has a minimum of 15 years, okay? If they want to give him the 15 years and a maximum of 25. So let's even take the minimum, assuming a judge imposes 15 years. Then you go to count two, count three, the deposit taken without license. Some of them, deposit taken minimum 2 years, maximum 4. So they will say, so the example I want to show is that they will say the sentences are to be served concurrently. So meaning as he's serving 15 years, he's also serving, assuming even they give the maximum on the deposit taken, 4 years.
Right.
And he will even finish the 4 years before the 15 years.
Yeah.
Go to some of the other charges, the defrauding by false pretenses. There is a maximum of 25 years. So assuming even a judge gives him, let's say even 10 years. Whilst he's serving the 10 years, he's serving the 15, he's serving the 2, fraudulent breach of trust, all of them, all being served at the same time. Right. So if you have 39 charges and even you win 15, my brother, it's not bad, because the main thing is that at least justice would have been served. He will serve some. Yeah. You win some, you lose some. Lawyers, we are very used to that. So it's not the number of charges that impresses me, but it's the speed with which the prosecution is being handled. And also we should have more clarity, more information on the exhibit account, the assets that were seized from him, and some of them auctioned. Can we get more information? Because that's really where the meat is. Because I'm looking at it that for most of these customers, it's their money they want back. I don't think they care so much about imprisonment. Imprisonment becomes attractive to them only when NAM1 is not paying them. So as we're talking now, you think today there were money to pay everybody. Oh, people, Ghanaians is very forgiving as we are. We'll soon come out and say, oh, no, come on, maybe the criminal prosecution is not that important. Just put in measures to make sure that he doesn't have the chance to repeat this. You see? So it's about the return of the money. So the charges per se don't say much. Let's hear from the AG an update. How much is in the exhibit account? When you read the charge sheet, they just say some cars were auctioned and then put in the exhibit account. How much is there? Now, the buildings, what's the update on them? I know Iyoko froze some of the buildings, right? And some people even took judgment. You remember the last time we did this interview, I was saying that usually for lawyers, the first step before you go to court when you're doing recovery is that what assets will I fall on when I win the case? So I understand some lawyers won against NAM1, but because they were coming against the properties that had already been frozen, Yoko had to apply to the court. It's still ongoing. Hopefully, whichever way the court decides, yes. But the main point is that, so you see that those assets have already been encumbered. They've been frozen. So let's get an update. How much total assets does he have? And then who is managing the assets? So the properties that he rented, is it that the Yoko and Attorney General, they'll be able to get new tenants so that the tenants have paid the money to the state? We should know, because let's say if you had a 10-year lease on a certain, maybe Kojo Yanson's tower, Adabraka, maybe, and then the rent is, let's say he had paid $100,000, but at the time the license was revoked, blah, 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 he had used, in terms of the duration of the rent, let's say he had used up 20,000, so there's 80,000 left. So now that he's not operating, is it that they've been able to get a new tenant so that the landlord is able to refund the 80,000? Let's get a clearer picture. We should get details. That is where the comfort really is. But for NAM1 going to jail, but our politicians have stolen hundreds of millions of dollars. They didn't go to jail, and we've forgiven them more or less. I mean, you see. Yeah. So let's get more details about the assets, how much is able to how much government is able to recover.
Right. Recently, he returned to the limelight, so to speak, when he announced this new process. He'd set up a new company, and ask people to go and buy scratch cards from this company to verify their debt. So in essence, if I owe you money, prove it. It will cost you 650 cedis to prove it, and if you do prove it, then I'll pay you. Now he removed the 650 CD cost, but he maintains the arrangement that by a certain date, if you don't verify my debt to you, I won't pay you. Is this legal? And in fact, bearing in mind that his company was essentially shut down, Menzgold was shut down, how is he able to continue communicating as Menzgold with Menzgold letterheads and so forth? I mean, is he not breaking any rule with this new arrangement, any laws with these new arrangements?
Okay, good. So let's start with the shutting down. Revocation of a license is not coterminous with dissolution of the company or liquidation.
Okay.
So let's explain this. So Menzgold had a license to buy gold from small-scale miners only and to export.
Right.
Buy from small-scale miners only from the trucks and export. So now that is being revoked. It's just a license. But for the company, when you set up a company at the Registrar General, and you go to a regulator to seek a license, if the regulator revokes your license, it doesn't mean your company too is dead. Okay. The company can still be in existence, except that naturally, if the cash cow is taken, practically it's not that useful. Yeah. So I'm not sure that Menzgold is being liquidated. I'm sure they would have even added that to the facts. So it means that the company still exists.
Right.
Good. Now, so the company still existing. It means that now he tried. So in law, there is something we call the pre-existing contractual duties under our Contracts Act. It's legally on paper. If I owe you, let's say, $1 million. Now, if you come to make a demand for it legally by our laws, instead of me paying, I can say, okay, so let's say maybe you were building this an office tower for me, or let's use Mama V. So Mama V, you owed Mama V $1 million. You went to make a demand on her, and then the Mama V tells you that, before I pay you this $1 million, you know what? There is this other small 2-bedroom house I want to build for my watchman, my security. Can you build it before I pay? In theory, even though she already had a pre-existing contractual duty to pay you the $1 million, she can ask you to build the 2-bedroom boys' quarters or whatever it is before she pays you. If you agree, fine. So what I'm saying here is that he asking people to pay the 650, which he later cancelled, or saying do verification, he can ask, but you are not bound to accept. So it's a reflection of your bargaining power, so your strength. If you are very vulnerable, you have no option, you do it. But when you have options, you don't. So if you don't, there's no agreement. But if you agree to do it, in law, it is enforceable. So, and then so you see that those who are vulnerable, you see they went and paid.
Yeah.
And they are doing the verification.
So can he say in this case that those who don't pay, he no longer owes them?
No. So we are coming to that side. It's wrong. He cannot unilaterally impose those conditions. It has to be a mutual agreement. If people refuse, they don't lose their money. So the last time when we had the interview, so I was making the point that his lack is that it doesn't appear there are so many assets to go around to pay everybody. Otherwise, they would have just called his bluff and gone to court. And now you see, those who went to court, you see that now they are hot. Even those, they got a judgment, and then Iyoko has gone to the court that, hey, my lord, no, this properties they are going towards, they are already frozen. So that's Namwan's lack, that they are not enough assets. And so because they are not enough assets, he seems to be in he has an upper hand.
If you just joined us, we're talking to Martin Kpebu. He's a Ghanaian lawyer, and we're discussing the 39 charges brought against Namwan by the Attorney General's office. Martin, the original case was brought not only against Namwan, but his sister and his wife also got arrested. Are you surprised not to see them in these new charges, featuring in these new charges?
Yes. Surprised as an emotional thing because I don't have the facts on which they were removed. So maybe I think the Attorney General can address us on that a little bit because, as a lawyer, I can't fault him for removing those people, so to speak. I can't unless I have facts.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something else they found and then they thought, on those bases, they should take out the wife and the sister. So we need some clarity on it. But it's surprising. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But that's where it remains.
Okay. Now, before you leave us, there's one other thing I wanted to run by you. The police has written in fact, they've written a press release saying that the minorities' plans to demonstrate, unfortunately, they believe that if they were to go along the route they have selected, then it would basically create some public safety concerns. And so they have been left with no alternative, I'm quoting them, but to seek legal recourse by approaching the court to determine the matter. So they have filed an application just yesterday in court. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm very disappointed. Yeah, I'm extremely disappointed because we are in our recent history, even Flagstaff House, Occupy Flagstaff House. They breached the security and went there. Police didn't give them permit to go to Flagstaff House. Yet in the course of the demonstration, they breached the security and that breached the terms of the engagement and went there. Nothing happened. When I say nothing, of course, people were arrested. That's when I say nothing happened, meaning they didn't attempt to go in there to overthrow the president. They didn't. So once that wasn't done, and people have been even allowed to picket in front of the Revolutionary Square, opposite the Flagstaff House. So this security matter doesn't wash at all. It doesn't. I think the police need to also set up a bit. You see, that's how Bank of Ghana, the governor didn't show independence, and today we are in trouble. Hardship. Could you so much hunger? You walk and people are suffering. There's so much despondency, right? That's that lack of independence. What I expected the police to do in these circumstances were that they will negotiate that, okay, we'll not allow you to come very close to the building. So we'll create a buffer, maybe 50 meters from the building, or 100, 50 or 100, and then also we'll reduce the numbers. Those who come 50 meters, maybe will be, let's say, maybe 100, the leadership. So you want the MPs, the big people. You see, Atu Forsen, Ayariga, the leaders. So when you bring the leaders, I can't imagine Atu Forsen taking a stone to throw at the Bank of Ghana building, or Mama Ayaga, a very astute lawyer, etc. I can't imagine them doing that. So you allow the leadership to be the ones to come close. The ordinary, I'm not saying the ordinary people would do so, but we're just saying in probability, it's likely that some misguided elements will infiltrate and come and cause mayhem. So you keep those behind. The police can do it. This is simple. The police should wake up. If they are tired of this siding with government, that's why when the police went to the Constitutional Review Commission, they said they want to choose their own IGP. They want to be independent. They are tired of just playing second fiddle to government, just at the beck and call of government. You are saying that Ayariga, Atu Forsen, Ama Kofi Bua, etc., they will throw stones, they will enter, they are coming with guns to shoot the governor. We are making a mockery of our democracy. No wonder it's not a democracy, but it's capistocracy. That is a government by the worst people in charge. It's a mockery. Keep the citizens, the people where some people can infiltrate. Keep them further off. Allow leadership to come close to the building, because we need to hit the Bank of Ghana well. Let them know that we are not happy about the money printing. The printing of money, and that has caused us so much trouble. The governor showing lack of foresight, governor refusing to go to Parliament, notify Parliament as required by Section 30, subsection 7 of the Act 918. That breach, because if you are told our parliamentarians through questions and answers, we could have seen how to resolve this matter, etc. So the police, I'm just so disappointed that they're doing this. What kind of rocket science is it? People went to Flagstaff, people went to Jubilee House, nothing happened. Let the leadership come close. Let the the rank and file of the demonstrators stay behind. Simple. What is this? What is this? Kakistocracy, could you? Kakistocracy. You see what's happening in Gabon? See what's happening in Gabon? Okay, because the more people get angry, what do you think? Democracy is just falling apart. See, Akufo-Addo finally admitted that he's not up to task. He can't do the job. So you should just resign and go. Look, Kojo, our constitution allows for early elections. This is our constitution. It's not by force that we should do elections every 4 years. No, it says that, look, we can have early elections. All we need is that the president and the vice should resign. So once the president finally last Saturday admitted that he's not up to the task, he should resign with Bawumia. And then by the constitution, within 3 months, check Article 60, Clause 13. Let me keep my constitution here. So that we can have early elections. He says within 3 months. So it's very good that the President Nanka he can't govern. He says he can't govern. He is not able to do it. He's waiting for the new leader. So let's have early elections. Article 60, Clause 13. It says when the president and the vice resign, the speaker should take over, but we should have elections within 3 months. Let's have an early election. We are tired. Look, we are dying. People are dying. People are hungry. We can't continue like this. Akufo-Addo can't kill all of us. Ghana doesn't belong to him alone. I mean, he's failed us, and the least he can do is to just go with Bawumia now. They should step down. If Bawumia wants to contest, yeah, he should come and contest. But he should resign now. And then let's have the election. Could you please, let's read the provision. It says, 13, Article 60, Clause 13, where the Speaker of Parliament assumes the office of President as a result of the death, resignation, or removal from office of the President and the Vice President, there shall be a presidential election within 3 months after his assumption of office.
Yeah.
So all we need is President Akufo-Addo and Bawumia resigning today, and then it starts counting within 3 months. Let's have an election. We are tired. We're just tired of it. The incompetent Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. We are tired. Tired is not even there. We are dying. Now he said it. He's admitted. Have you seen that video where he said, yes, the new leader will come and take us out of the difficulties, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so let's get on with it now. We're tired. He came with so much sloganeering. He came and talked big English. Now he's saying it's not up to scratch. So it's good he's admitted it early. Please, let's have this election. In the next 3 months, let's have new leadership. That's what our constitution says. It's not 4 years. The constitution has not said that when you are not up to task, you can just continue in office till 4 years. No.
Yeah.
It says we can have early elections. That's why the framers put it in there. So Bawumia is confident he can win. Yes. They should resign now, and 3 months, they will be within 3 months. So it means that even the election will be held in less than 3 months, because by the end of the 3 months, there should be a new president. And let's have early elections. Let us decide, because we are tired of this kakistocracy. If all the money Akufo-Addo and Ufuriata have made to date is not sufficient for them, is it the remaining 1.5 years that will do anything? The money they made from the bonds, fleeced us, milk us dry. If today that money is not sufficient, then I don't know what else will make them fall. Let them go now. Let's have early elections. That's the message. That's it.
Wow. Well, Martin Kpebu there calling for the resignation of the president and vice president so we can have early elections. Will anybody side with that? Will anybody put that into action? All I say is, so